moving on to our next session, which is a deep dive conversation on the topic Rise of the Digital Revolution, Accelerated Growth Led by Disruptive Innovation in the World of OTT. As the world of OTT grows by leaps and bounds, we have an audience that is connected to this ecosystem via mobiles, laptops, TV, and broadband. And I must say, 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G in today's time. So, how can we create a uniform tech experience for these audiences? For this conversation, we would like to invite on stage Dell Technologies medium business leader, Mr. Radhesh Shankaranarayanan. Can we have a huge round of applause for Mr. Radhesh? Along with him, we have Sony Pictures Networks India head, Sony Live Technology, Mr. Manish Verma. Please welcome, sir. We have NXT Digital Limited Chief Operation Officer, Mr. Rouse Koshy. Welcome, Mr. Rouse.
This is going to be an interesting one too, because you have to understand, while we were talking about DR and CR and disaster recovery, there's also infrastructure backend which goes into keeping an OTT as well as keeping cable networks going. Most of us seem to have forgotten about cable networks, but they still exist. Roose is evidence of that. He's head of Next Digital, which is running a hits platform and a cable network as well. We've had a glorious 2 years, 2.5 years. For many, the pandemic has been a bit of a headache, but for me, it's been wonderful. And so has it been for OTT platforms such as yours. So what pressures has that put on your company's infrastructure as a whole, is what I'll ask Manish. But before that, let me go on to Radhesh and ask him about what have you all seen, the trends you'll have seen in terms of globally, in India and globally, in terms of pre-pandemic, pandemic, and we are still in the pandemic, we are not post-pandemic as yet. What trends have you seen in terms of OTT operations, in terms of media and entertainment companies, production, studios, etc.? What are the lessons you'll have learned?
See, wonderful question. And I think from a Dell perspective, what we've seen is that, like you rightly said, pre-pandemic to post-pandemic, the journey has been amazing for technology companies because people being forced inside the houses, people being forced inside the houses has led to, accessing of data on a digital medium. So what I would say is that in the last couple of years, 10 years or 20 years from now, we will call this period as a digital transformation or a digital revolution which happened across the globe. At the same time, you look at any aspect of your life, it has got digitalized. What has it meant for all of the organizations, or if you look at it, media and entertainment, it's huge opportunity opened up for them. There was a huge pressure or push to move into the digital, but this pandemic actually accelerated the whole thing completely. And we've worked very closely with most of the studios globally, whether you look at Sony Innovation Labs, back in US. You look at Animal Studio, you look at the MPC guys. MPC is the ones which are technical, right? We've worked very closely with them. We've seen huge amount of business flow which has happened during this, pandemic. And as a result, we've seen huge, opportunities for our organization to align and work closely with these, studios. While one side we are working with them to help them create the content, in terms of providing with the IT infra from our side. What
does this IT infra consist of?
See, IT infra right from a endpoint, when we call it as a workstation, which is typically used by a developer, right up to people who use high performance compute servers, GPU based servers. Then on top of it, you have the storage devices where you need to be able to store the content and make it accessible to their consumers or their customers, maybe broadcasters and the content providers platforms, which help beam the end product to the consumer at large, right? So we work at the first stage closely where the content is being created, and second is the on the place where it is getting stored.
And also notebooks. You didn't mention powerful
Yeah,
notebooks.
workstations I meant was
What you meant notebooks
notebooks.
primarily. So what are the trends you've seen? You said you've seen the requirement going up. In which area? Which of the areas of IT infrastructure?
See, IT as a whole, it has been, it has gone up crazily. When you look at it, even the production houses, if you look at today, production houses have suddenly started seeing huge amount of business flow coming into them. And as a result, we've seen our demand or demand of our products going up when we look at this particular segment. I used to see this segment as very, very niche and very limited in terms of technology adoption. But today, in the last couple of years, I've seen so many production houses mushrooming. Today, we had the August audience, August panel earlier. And they were talking about storytelling, and storytelling has taken off in a big way in the country. Right. Having said that, what we have seen is we've seen huge amount of business, explosion happening to us. We are now I'm at least talking to it around about 400 odd production houses in the country. Different places, right from Delhi to Trivandrum, there are customers who are creating, their own infra, and they are trying to create content so that they are able to reach out to the platforms, and so that they are able to reach out. So for us, it has been a huge, and that's the reason why we wanted to, be as close to the content creation is happening. We wanted to be part of that journey.
Yeah, and you also offer solutions for writers, directors, producers in terms of your workstations, your notebooks.
That's more on a very, very, at a personal level, or I would say a consumer level, but we are more looking at how do we help the organizations, create that infra.
So Manish, on to you. Then I'll get on to Rouse on the requirements for IT infrastructure, because you had a fantastic hit in Scam, which totally sent and after that you've had several great hits coming in, which have sent your subscriptions going skyrocket to different heights totally.
So what I keep saying always, there is always a positive side of everything. And
can you hold the mic closer?
Yeah. So what demonetization has done to payment industry, I think the lockdown has done to OTT industry. And we have seen consumption is increasing consistently during the lockdown, during the pandemic and after the pandemic. And it has essentially increased in three different directions, three different areas. One is we offer video on demand service, the premium video on demand service. The consumption has increased on that side. People have actually started paying for the content, which is really good thing happened during the pandemic. Earlier, people were trying to find out all ways of finding the content without paying, but at least during pandemic, we have seen people paying for the content and using it. Sport is the very big driver of consumption for us. We offer multiple live sports. That's where we have seen good consumption happening, and that's always been there. And the third big area was interactivity. KBC Play Along, which we offer, wherein users can play the same KBC on their devices while the show is on the air. And all three areas requires a lot of back-end infrastructure, which has increased for us exponentially. Live VOD streaming would require a lot of edge traffic. And
by edge, you mean?
CDN, content distribution network traffic.
That means getting it very close to the consumer.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we need to ensure that we are able to offer content as close to the consumer.
So you don't see that circle buffering, and you can't keep waiting to watch that video. So that's why they have to invest in infrastructure, make partnerships to ensure that you don't have to wait for the video.
That's true. And live sport traffic is essentially appointment viewing. Everyone is coming to watch the content at the same time. Live streaming is less resilient to network fluctuation. We need to make sure that our backend infrastructures are scaled properly so that when the users are coming at the same time to watch the live sporting content, they are not feeling that kind of latency, which we always say that today in the world of cloud, latency has become the new outage.
Yeah, and latency, explain latency to some of the people who may not know.
So latency is when your actual, the round trip time to reach to the servers wherein the content is hosted starts increasing. Or even the backend infrastructure starts taking more time to fetch the content and deliver it to you. And what we have seen that has become very important for the content providers like us, wherein if we are not keeping the latency well within the defined KPIs, which we keep track internally on a day-to-day basis.
KPIs are key performance indicators.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm just expanding everything for you all.
Yeah.
So, and latency, normally in television, there's between a 6 to 7 second delay in television.
Yeah.
So by the time the signal goes out from the uplink to the satellite and comes down to you, there's a 7-second delay. So if Virat Kohli has hit that 6, when you're watching it, it's already happened on the ground.
That's true.
Yeah.
So that's where we need a lot of infrastructure at the back end to make sure that we are able to handle the traffic. And when it comes to the live interactivity game show like Play Along, wherein we have seen more than 1.5 million concurrent users playing the game together, and we have to deliver the question to the end user device almost immediately without any latency, so that they can see the question in sync with when it is asked on the TV. We need to make sure that our in-memory databases are adequately provisioned, my data streaming servers are adequately provisioned, so that my data push and the streaming to the end users are happening almost immediately. So I think all three things put together, we have seen that it really scaled our infrastructure at the back end exponentially in the last couple of years. Plus, I would add one more point: when consumption is happening, and that's the trend earlier also, there is a device shift which is happening. So if I start watching a content on my mobile device, I don't end up watching the complete content on single device. I may shift to tablet, I may shift to TV and various other devices before I finish a single content. And as the protocols are fragmented, as the security DRM standards are fragmented, we need to make sure that we are offering the consistent experience across these devices, which requires a lot of transcoding of the same content to happen at the back end, so that I can offer the content with almost the same experience when the device shift is happening, which requires a lot of back-end storage space to be available, because I am transcoding the same content multiple times in the multiple formats and the bit rates. Which
you'd have to simplify that, please, for them.
Okay, I thought that you will be doing it for me.
No. I'd rather you simplify it, because I can do it, but you'll do it quicker.
Okay. So when I'm saying a protocol, there are different codecs like HEVC, AV1, H264. We need to transcode the content and store it. When I'm, let's say a file size is 100 MB and I'm transcoding the same content in 3 different codecs or 5 different bit rates, I need to have those many, 100 into those many different.
So bit rates are needed because bandwidth is fluctuating across telecom networks. So therefore you have to have what is known as adaptive bit rates. So this is something which ABR is extremely important for a platform such as this, so that if the bandwidth is low, you can still see the signal, but it'll be pixelated. You'll at least see the signal. You'll at least see that 6 being hit, and you won't miss it.
Sure. Thanks.
Yeah.
So everything put together, I think the infrastructure really scaled for us in the last couple of years, and we consistently see that behavior. There is a habit formation, I would say, which has happened in the last 2 years, wherein users are really watching it, and we have seen that it has become the living room phenomena now. It's not only on the mobile device, which was earlier the case, wherein
it was smart TVs.
Smart TV has a big consumption. I'm paying for the content, right? I will only pay for the content and experience. An experience I will get on the big screen, not on the small devices. So I think some of those good things have happened, which is really good for the business, good for everyone. I think infrastructure is scaling, business is doing good, and that's how I
see. While we were chasing Hansal Mehta, we don't really appreciate these guys, because you'll write your content, you'll film your content, you'll put it out, but it's these guys who make sure everyone gets to watch it. Let's just give them a round of applause.
Thank you.
Because if it's not watched, you won't get your money. Because if the platform doesn't make money, they can't pay you, they can't create it. So, I consider these guys the real heroes. They are the heroes also, the actors and the writers and the directors. But these guys, I don't think at times they don't sleep nights, because they have to battle all kinds of different challenges that are coming their way. Now, sorry, I hope I'm not crossing any lines.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. No, coming down to Roose now. Roose is, he's running a cable company which is transforming itself into a digital super app aggregator. What he does is, if you've taken GeoTV, you get a lot of different apps in GeoTV. I don't know how many of your are Geo subscribers here. How many Geo? So you get a lot of apps. You get Hotstar, you get Netflix, you get all of that. So he's moving in that direction also, creating a super app aggregator. He has different challenges. So what has experience been over the last 2.5 years?
Good. Thanks, Anil, for inviting me to your seminar. So when you say 2.5 years back, then I need to go back to the industrial revolution we happened sometime back. Then we had a information technology revolution we happened. Then we had a social digital revolution happen. And then these guys came into our lives and did a OTT revolution, right? Pandemic didn't hit so much hard. Did these guys hit us more than pandemic actually? OTT guys. Okay. So what we understood is we need to now digitize the world. So we started that a year and a half back. We started digitizing and we started coming with products like combo products. We have our own broadband company. So we started giving combo products like giving broadband with video, which is cable. And now we have, last 6 months, we have also started aggregating all the OTT platforms and then selling it as a bouquet. So now what we do is in our cable operators, when they open up their portal, they can see broadband, they can see if they want to sell broadband and if they want to sell video or if they want to sell OTT, they can sell as a combined, as a pack, they can sell it now. So this is, in last 6 months, we have been able to revolutionize our community also and trying to digitize them and trying to make them into a digital service or a solution provider. So this transformation is going to be a challenge for us because you all know that cable operators have a different sort of a mindset and to train them and to transform them, it's a humongous exercise. So we have already conducted something like a 750 workshops as of now, and we want to plan it up is we are hiring up a HR consultant and trying to help the cable operators fraternity to understand how to move into the digital world. IT, as Manish and team have been able to put up their IT infra, we are basically distributors. So for us to scale on the IT front is more on the SMS front, like how to manage the subscriber management system, because we are also now trying to cater not only to the cable operator subscribers, but also to the entire world now in the country. Okay, so that's where we are trying to move ourselves to. We have already started our distribution on OTT platforms. As I said, we also intend to partner or collaborate with IT firms. We have just merged into a company called Hinduja Global Solutions, which is a B2C company. So we have the tech expertise already available. Further, to develop the app and to get the integration work and everything, we are looking to partner with and to collaborate with some of the companies which we have already shortlisted, and we are in the final verge of closing the deals with them.
Great. So your IT requirements are kind of being met, but there will be a replacement cycle. We'll come to that later.
Yeah.
Let me ask, how do normally companies in the media and entertainment space plan their entire IT infrastructure spends? You've got lots of experience working internationally in India. Dell as a company. So how do they normally do it? Is it a 3-year replacement cycle? Is it a 2-year replacement cycle? Or is it done in silos, or is it done as businesses expand, they buy? But they'll have to have a replacement cycle as well.
Yeah, so good question, Anil. What happens here, especially in the media and entertainment, is that typically we've seen in India a lot of these production houses getting orders from overseas as well. Like if you were to look at the VFX part, the animation, all those elements which were being created here.
Like Life of Pi being done in Bangalore by
Bangalore, yeah, you have it in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Trivandrum, you name it. Every lot of these are happening. So those are job-based contracts, that they get for a particular movie. They will get, and that's how they scale up. Then there are organizations which are, very well consolidated. Like you have the likes of Deluxe Entertainment, you have the likes of Technicolor, which has got ongoing requirements. They have long contracts which are tying them up with their studio for which they create. So there, the cycle is typically 3 to 4 years for their IT infra. And at the same time, why it's imperative that they keep refreshing it is because the user experience, you need to keep pace with the technological changes which are happening in the world, and you want to give your user the best possible experience. The production houses or the studios that they are looking out for the best experience. So, and from that perspective, I'm seeing it at least a 3 to 4 year cycle. Every 3 to 4 years, we see this happening.
Yeah, and also what's happening is new tools are being made available, like Unreal Engine, which are requiring a lot more processing power, chip processing power, GPUs and CPUs. The kind of crunching that they're doing has gone up, and the requirement of creators has gone up to be able to create that many more effects in shows as well as in films. So because of that, also you have another and Moore's law is there. You have every 18 months. I think it's become every 9 months now, or every
18 months is what they're saying. But having said that, one of the things which we are also seeing here in the media and entertainment, I'm just broad basing it. Like, for example, technology changes, like you said, 3G, 4G, everything coming in. Here, 4K adoption. 4K adoption.
8K.
Yeah. So 4K adoption is a big bid. I'm seeing that as a huge expenditure coming in from all the news channels, all the channels, especially on that side. They want to give their users a very good experience. So that's an additional spend coming in. 5G is going to open up totally new audience and totally new experience.
That's going to get a lot of users.
Yes.
User-generated content will really go up, and
Absolutely.
your notebooks, your workstations will really fly.
Absolutely.
And gaming.
Gaming is another thing which is already here to stay, and you're seeing that being, it's going to be the prime driver in years to come. We will see that huge amount of...
And he's going to be one of the persons who's going to drive it, because they have a game section, and they'll be getting a lot of gamers on OTT. It's not just going to be content which is series and films and shows. It's also going to be gamers. Correct me if I'm wrong, on Sony Liv's side.
That's right, Anil.
So talk about your replacement cycle, your IT infrastructure. So guys, it's not just about writing stories. It's also about understanding IT. If you'll understand it a bit, maybe you all can get stories in this area, which could then become shows.
So our IT spend or tech spends, actually, there are three, I would say, key consideration when we decide to go with CapEx or OpEx route. One is...
CapEx is capital expenditure, where they pay the money up front. Operating OpEx, please explain the OpEx model to them.
This is pay as you use, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, how often, how frequently I want to do the tech refresh? As you said, that technology obsolescence is the big factor. If some of the processors and memory costs are going down, why do I need to continue with the same server for 3 years? Every 6 months, 12 months, or whatever, whenever the tech refresh is happening, I get those servers in the cloud, I can replace it. The second is the cost of management. If I am investing upfront, I mean, that is one cost. I might be saving when I am doing the first initial investment, but how much it is going to cost me to run that infrastructure on-prem? How many resources?
On-premise, on-premises.
Thank you. Yeah. So how many resources I need, and whether those resources are available in abundance in the market, or these are all very specialized skill sets which is very difficult to get. And if the specialization is needed, it's very difficult to retain and keep on motivating the resource for a longer period of time. So we end up sort of hiring people very frequently. And the third is the kind of elasticity I need. And what I mean by that are some of the, especially on the live sporting event side, wherein most of the events are like 8 or 10 parallel streams running, but some special events like Australian Open, wherein on digital platform, while TV was covering, I think 6 or whatever streams, on digital we wanted to cover all 16. Now, whether I need to provision...
Each stream may be running a single individual match.
Yes.
Which could be, I just want to explain that so that they get it. There could be a singles match, 6 singles match going out, so they want to
16 courts, actually. We were covering all 16 courts simultaneously. Now, the option was that for one such event, I invest in the CapEx and keep it on-prem and manage it, or I use the cloud infrastructure and create a hybrid setup wherein I create a set of on-prem infrastructure, and then whenever I get such event wherein I need to run 8 or 9 streams in the cloud, I should be able to move. So today, keeping all those things in mind, I think our infrastructure is more hybrid. Some of it is on-prem, which is like live streaming encoder setup, which we want to keep closer to
They
our...
need encoding to encode it so that it cannot be, by it can be, explain why you need it to be encoded.
No, this is basically
For the
to change
players?
the protocol. So we get a feed from the court or wherever. We convert that into the protocols, which is, and compress that stream, which can then be delivered onto the various devices. And for that, we need encoding on the devices. So those encoders are on-prem and in the cloud, which we use during such special events. And most of our infrastructure is in the cloud. Some of these special kind of services are having the on-prem. So it is mostly hybrid and in the cloud and on-prem. That's how we manage our infrastructure setup.
And on the gaming side, the games that you're starting
Games
to...
are completely in the cloud. We really don't need to run it on-prem, so it is completely in the
Yeah, but
cloud.
you're going to also spark off a revolution with the new millennials.
Yes.
Because you'll be putting more and more games on Sony Live, and that will lead to a requirement for workstations for people from like Dell.
Sure.
More of the gaming devices that they will be using, typically the Alienware kind of devices would be used. Adding on to what Manish was mentioning, we do see this kind of a trend where customers like you are thinking about how do I manage, or how do I manage the infrastructure, and how do I ensure maintenance of the infrastructure is done in the proper manner, retaining the staff. We do provide services where we provide residency engineers who we give it to our customers, who are helping them to ensure management of their infrastructure, IT infrastructure at large. Coming back to your point also on the storage part, yes, we have we also have seen this trend of why should I invest upfront in terms of 3 years or 5 years in advance for something which I might be ending up using up in the 3rd or 4th year of the life cycle of that particular product. We have come up with a program wherein on a flexible payment model, wherein pay as you grow concept, we are able to look at those kind of options as well. And having said that, what we are also we have also provided for those spikes which come in when you have special events happening, or you need to have a higher band of utilization. We are able to look at that, and we have worked with certain customers wherein we have invested in upfront capacity buildup basis the requirement that you say, and on a consumption model, what is a committed consumption on a regular basis, we are able to do that and offer that as a solution. This helps a lot of savings on in terms of from a capex standpoint, as well as you don't have to go and look at for a third party or in the event, or for those such 2 or 3 short duration events, spikes that you see in your...
Yeah. Now coming down to Rouse, how do you plan your IT and infrastructure? You're moving more towards the cloud, moving more towards digital. So what do you see happening? What did you do earlier? What do you see happening going forward? Do you see hybrid, or do you see...
So most of the digitization part happened starting from 2012.
Can you hold the mic closer?
Yeah, from 2012, if you remember, we started digitizing, and most of the tech part has been taken care, as I said. Now, when we moved to the combo product of broadband, there had been a new IT portal we had to work upon, which we have already done now. Now, for OTT platforms, again, we have invested on a new portal that has been again taken care. As I said, most of the backend we will be using will be that of the OTT platforms. Our main forte is to distribute. We are distribution guys, right? So we will be continuing our distributions, and from whatever lessons we have learned during the pandemic time, we were a bit late in joining the distribution of OTT platforms. Going forward, what we see is this trend of what you said on gaming, which we can see very clearly. So the entertainment, OTT platforms with entertainment, though will continue, but we see going forward a challenge coming up. We also want to now see who all are the gaming OTT platform guys. We start planning up right now. So two genres I can see very clearly coming up is gaming and music. So we have also started checking on those, and also we have our own healthcare unit. So we are trying to bring in them also as part of our OTT platform. So that's how we are trying to be different from rest of the, because otherwise we are also part of the guys who are running on this. Like, I mean, definitely we cannot match up with Geo sort of an investment, but trying to be different and trying to see how we can stay alive.
Yeah, with 5G coming in, that's people are saying it's a B2B side as well as there's a B2C side. So, do you see your requirements changing with 5G coming in, let's say in the next year and a half or so? Your IT and infrastructure requirements going up even further?
Yes, if 5G happens as we are thinking, my sense is definitely, I mean, if 5G happens, the bandwidth requirement will go up, and then accordingly, the infrastructure and everything needs to scale up to deliver. We need to be ready to deliver 4K, 8K, or whatever. I mean, depending on 8K, I think is still distant, little distant, but 4K and all other content we need to. But that's going to be gradual. That's my sense, is because the infrastructure cost and everything for 5G is substantial. Telcos will start the way they have started 4G, cherry picking the areas and start then building the 5G infrastructure. So we will also get time, but definitely 5G is going to increase the infrastructure, bandwidth requirement, everything. And even some of the newer opportunities around, if we talk about AR, VR, Metaverse, people are talking about, we will have low latency networks wherein I can still offer some of the more immersive content and immersive experience seamlessly, which is not possible today. So I think as things progresses, we have a plenty of opportunity, newer opportunities emerging, which definitely we would like to see how we can leverage and how we can improve the experience of the consumers by adopting those low latency 5G networks and high bandwidth network. Yeah.
Yeah, so, yesterday when I asked Gaurav Banerjee a question on the metaverse, he said all creators are now thinking about universes where they can actually exploit the assets that are created in the content. That means the characters, etc. Then there'll be the NFT side, the non-fungible token side. In terms of your universe, is your network also thinking in those directions? That they would be looking at, then if they're thinking in that manner, then the entire backend also has to support whatever they're looking at.
So I probably may not be aware that from the content point of view what is happening, but definitely there are certain things happening around that. I may not have the complete information, but yes, those are all the immersive experience which are in the pipeline, and definitely something must be happening.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. I'll come back to you later. You're a technologist, right? But let's say for the writers, how do you think, and the directors and the producers, what opportunities are there for creators in the metaverse? Because I've had BTech friends, I've had IIT friends who come up with the most fantastic ideas on how creators can incorporate technology and creative. So what opportunities do you see for creators in the metaverse?
I think this is more to do with the immersive experience which needs to be created. If you can have immersive, if you are part of the content and if you see that is happening around you, that is going to make a differentiation. Right now, my experience is not that immersive, but if using the AR, VR, if I can see things happening in front of me, why not? I mean, that's better than...
I can become a part of it, the experience.
You can become part of the experience, and those are all the things definitely. But how it is going to pan out, I really don't know. Because if you ask me to change my consumption pattern once in a while, I mean, that's how the 3D television came in.
3D is different.
No, I am saying the change in the
because we
consumption
have to put on those
pattern.
Glasses,
but still in that also you need to wear the glasses. So I am saying I still might try out. I am telling my own
but
personal...
one second, I'm going to debate this with you. In 3D, you are having a passive experience. In AR and VR, you have a participatory experience.
Yeah, so I am
and
not...
you're willing to be a part of that.
Correct. So I am not debating on the experience side of it. I am debating how the behavior is going to change. As a user, I am used to of watching. I may still experience it. But whether that is going to be my consumption pattern, that I am not sure, at least from the individual point of view. It may happen for the millennial who have just started. I mean, they are digital native. They started their their experience on the mobile phone. Today, if you ask me to watch a content on mobile, probably I'll think 10 times before watching it on mobile, unless it is a sports and I have no other option.
Absolutely, yeah.
But they prefer to watch it on mobile because that's the way they have been doing right from day one. So I think it is going to take a while before it gets into the habit formation. Initially, it is going to be more of a experience the content, newer way of consumption, and then before it sets into the habit formation, I think it's going to take a while. So that's how I see it.
Radhesh, now the platform is yours.
No issues. So essentially, what we've seen is that this is for the technology internet of the future, right? And for this has brought in huge amount of demands on the creation of the IT infrastructure to be able to support such an environment. We've seen that happening, and we have tied up with NVIDIA to provide that. NVIDIA has come up with Omniverse. We are working very closely with them on that part. And from a metaverse perspective, it's about how compute power is going to be huge, and that's for that we are having products which are there with us, which can cater to that requirement for customers and for consumers to have a seamless experience.
Yeah, I see the Disney theme parks being converted into virtual experiences. I see, if you have Universal Studios becoming seamless experiences with me going in there virtually in a virtual world. And anyway,
absolutely. Absolutely. These days, you don't have to travel, but you can do a virtual travel as well, right? Everything is happening in that space. So you.
Great.
My view on this metaverse, Anil. Initially, we saw in the 3D glasses and 3D content what happened. Today it's a fad, right? Metaverse, it's too early for us to say how it will take off with the VR and AR sort of scenario. But imagine a scenario where you can get a similar experience without the gadgets. Could be a game changer. With the gadgets, I feel it could be a challenge. Maybe after some time. The millennials currently, we can see, kids already on that,
I've seen elderly people. I've seen 90-year-olds and 80-year-olds wearing VR heads, the Oculus Rift, and they're playing games. I can send you pictures of these elderly people.
So they say that when you become old, you become like a child, right?
Yeah, true. That's true.
Great. So now, but any questions from the audience? Please go ahead. Pass the mic. Identify yourself and ask the question.
Hi, I'm Raj Chauhan. I write, I act, and I'm an avid content consumer. Yesterday, a question was raised as to which is our favorite platform, and my question goes to Manish. We love the content that is coming out on Sony Live. Sometimes it's way better than even Netflix and Amazon Prime. However, we get to see the yellow tick a lot. And not just the yellow tick, the buffering sign, not just the yellow tick, but it's also the time that the app takes to load up on a television. Where do you see Sony Live is lacking as compared to other platforms, and how do we see that improving? Thank you.
So we started, I'll just give you a little background and then probably I'll come to your question. When Sony Live, I think we are one of the oldest, or I think I would say oldest platform, started 2013. We started more as a catch-up platform. TV content was put in there, and there were multiple platforms, and started consolidating. I think there was a journey. Sometime, I think 2 years back, we started the transformation journey for Sony Live, wherein not only from the technology point of view, but from the business positioning and the content point of view, everything we started changing. And you would have seen that a couple of years back, we launched our new revamped platform. There are, and we take such feedback positively, there are issues which we are working, and these issues are specific to, as I was earlier also mentioning, that the fragmentation of the devices are there. Fragmentation is right from the smart TVs. We see a lot of fragmentation and issues on the smart TV. Those are all, and especially I would not name, or if you LG devices, wherein the capacity, the processing capacity issues we have observed. So if I render the same stream on a LG device versus on a Samsung device, the experience on the same network would be different because there are OEM limitation. In terms of the DRM, we have seen the devices like Pixel 3, they don't support level 1 DRM. Some of the other, so I think these fragmentations are taking, and there is always a journey for anyone who is starting. And you will have to handle it on a device by device or browser by browser or maybe the screen by screen. We have come a long way. I think feedbacks are important, and we regularly monitor as part of our internal cadence. I would say every day we go through all the user feedback and we take steps on each and everything, because if I have to replicate something, I can't put those 10,000 devices into my QA lab. I still need to be taking the feedback and reaching out. And if you would have raised, somebody would have definitely reached out to you. If the problem was reported and it is device specific, we ask consumers, and consumers are actually participating in it. It's not that consumers are saying it doesn't work. They also understand that it is the device fragmentation, it is device specific, because you would have seen it on, let's say on a smart TV, but you would have not seen it on your smartphone.
No,
or you would.
Let's get his experience. So where did you face this problem? Where do you live? Which part of Bombay? No, which part? Can you give a mic, please? So that, yeah.
Yeah, I live in Bombay. I live in Lokhandwala. So
Lokhandwala, Andheri.
Yeah. I'm sure the bandwidth is not the
No, bandwidth is not an issue here.
Yeah,
and
I know.
That's
And is it on a smart TV? Is it on your phone? Or is it on your notebook?
It is mostly on a smart TV. It's not as much as on a phone or a laptop.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
See,
So
as
LG,
much as
is it
on
an
your-
LG device?
It's a view.
view.
Yeah.
So that's what, see, same network, different device, it is working, and on device it is not working. As I was telling you, there is a fragmentation, and even on the devices, smart TV, we have seen when it is started, they started, and all the devices, I think Android and Apple TV, they have made some progress. Smart TV guys are still catching up. Some of the older version, it's not that TV I am changing every day. Mobile probably every year I am changing. TV, if I have purchased a TV, I am going to continue with that TV for 3 years, 4 years. Now the resources on the TV has not changed, whereas my content quality and everything else has gone up. So we need to handle it differently. Right now, I would say it is manual. We are graduating our infrastructure to make it more AI based, wherein I intelligently capture your device capability and then render you a content profile which is more suited to your device. So if you are watching it on View versus LG versus Samsung, Android and Apple, or on your smartphone, you will get the profile which is more suited. I think smart TV is little difficult to crack given the capabilities I get to understand it on the devices, but I think we'll be there. If it is happening on Android, Apple, or even on the smaller phone, would be more than happy to take your feedback and smart.
I've known him for long, some time now, around 2.5 years. He's been on several virtual. He really means what he says. He's not just, trying to cover up for Sony.
I believe him. So we can actually reach out to customer support on Sony Live and
Sure.
mention this.
Yeah, and you just drop a mail and then you will see. You really need not to, and if you don't get, I'll share my email ID. You can always. But I'm saying that you check the process. The process is every day we are reviewing. Every day we are going through that, and we are reaching out to consumer. We are asking them to help us to help them, because I can't go and test it on multiple. And that's a journey. I mean, it's not that I don't want to do that. I don't know if the problem is happening on. If it is not happening for me, I can't solve it.
And trust me, he'll be going back and checking out on View again. Trust me, by today afternoon.
Sure, thank you so much.
No, View has a specific problem, and I can discuss it with. They are sending the common device ID for everything. I really can't differentiate it based on this thing. So we have raised it to OEM also. So there are OEM specific issues as well. But yes, I mean, if OTT B can do, why can't we, right? And I'm saying it's a journey for them. It's a journey for us. We started our journey a little late, though we are the first one to start the OTT. I think we'll be there. Some of the smart TV platforms, we still see the issues. Otherwise, I think we are almost there.
Yeah, last question. She's got a question, and then we stop after that, Namita. Just one last question.
Thank you, sir. It was a very good session. Thank you for that. Talking about disruptive innovation, yes, I know Metaverse is possibly at least a decade away, but interactive...
No, it's not a decade away, trust me.
Maybe not. But definitely we are seeing some interactive storytelling that's happening. So does this pose any challenge as per technology wise, or is it something that we can take as content creators, take a liberty and create a content which brings in some level of interactivity, but not so much that it's essentially a linear story, like how you have Bear Grylls saying whether I eat this or not this. That's a very basic thing, but as content creators, can we challenge that, or will that be a bigger challenge for you people? Also, another part is advertising. When we come to advertising over OTT, would there be some artificial intelligence involved, like how when you go on a website, a particular ad is shown because seeing your history? So would OTT also be doing something like this, and would it be on individual channels, or would you be then partnering with somebody for it? How would that be? So these are the two.
Please, Manish.
So as far as the multipath content is there, it's always been there. I think people are creating, and so from the technology point of view, it's not. I think it is more from the way the cost of. That's what I understand. Maybe you know better. I think it's the cost of production because you need to create those many paths to create single content depending on what kind of path user is taking. And earlier, AVOD models were not really kind of able to justify that. Now, given that users are paying for the content, you can spend more to produce the content and you can monetize the content better. So from the technology point of view, I would say there is no restriction or there is no challenge. You can go and create those multipath content. As far as the monetization is concerned, we are using currently the third-party platform, and all those targeting, retargeting, capabilities are there. It has its own challenges, merit and demerit. Today, when we decided internally, consciously, that when we are going into the market and doing the transformation, whatever is key for our business, we should create the IP first. So whether it is the data platform, whether it is recommendation, whether it is understanding the user better, we should create the IP for ourselves because that's the core to our business. We should start leveraging some of the technologies and the platforms which are available, because those are all, again, it comes to the different types of screen sizes, platforms and everything. If I start, and the ads format, if I have to start building it, it's not the question of whether I can do it or not, how much time I am going to take to build that. If I am going to take 2 years to build that platform, and by the time I am ready, there are 4 new platforms, 4 new formats are there, and 5 new devices are there, I'm again going to take 6 months to catch up. So let's leverage whatever is available, and that's not anyway our IP. But beyond a point, whether I can completely rely on the third-party platforms and the network, the answer is no. At some point, we will have to decide whether I build it ourselves or I create something wherein I control part of that ecosystem. So some of it is already there. So we are feeding in the intelligence to these platforms in terms of how to, what kind of ad should be rendered, whether I should render the ad or not. That intelligence we are keeping at our side. So for example, if I start bombarding you with the ads, we may see that the user is moving out of the platform. Right now, I think when we launched, some of it was very static based on the static rules. We have started enhancing the platform and we are making it dynamic based on the user experience, based on the exits, based on the engagement with the content. As we progress, I think the platform will evolve, the experience. So at the core, whatever we are doing, we are keeping the consumer experience at the center. Eventually, we will be successful if the consumers are coming to our platform. It's not that producing only the content is not going to help. However good content we are producing, if we are not able to give the seamless and the good experience to the consumers, they will come, watch, and then go. What am I going to do afterwards? So I think consumer experience is the core, and some of those things you will see over a period of time. And as I said earlier, it's a journey. We started our journey a little late, but I think we are there, and we are catching up fast. We should be there as per the consumer expectations soon.
Once again, a big round of applause to these gentlemen. I hope we simplified complicated things for you all today. I hope it made a lot more simpler. Thank you very much, all of you all. I had a great time chatting with you all. Thank you again. Thank you.